Today we're checking out some of the best cases for the Galaxy A15, also fits the A15 5G. I'll leave a link down below for everything covered in today's video, so let's go ahead and get started. The OtterBox Prefix series case is a pretty slim yet still rugged case. It's got a softer TPU material around the edges. Really nice and rigid though, it's got a harder plastic shell there on the back. Pretty simple to snap the case onto the phone. It has good screen protection on all sides. Really nice and large opening for the power button, so pretty easy to do your fingerprint scanner. Volume button sticks out plenty too, so it's easy to locate, and it has some nice clickiness to it as well. Also has a really nice and large opening for the charging port and headphone jack. I prefer the individual cutouts for the cameras because you'll probably get some extra dust and dirt in there, but it does have probably just enough protection for the cameras there on the back. It's got a rougher texture here on the back, softer TPU around the edges, so it actually does have pretty good grip with this case. Only weighs in at 33 grams for the case itself. Weighs in at 231 grams with the case on. So if you're looking for a slim but yet still somewhat rugged case, this one's a pretty good option by OtterBox. If you're looking for a fairly thin case, the Liquid Air by Spigen comes in two colors, black, and the one shown here is Abyss Green. The material is pretty thin and flexible. It's a pretty snug fit, although there is a little bit of play there on the sides. It's probably got just enough screen protection on all sides. Fairly large opening for the charging port and headphone jack. Looks like the opening for the power button is just large enough and it's tapered, so it's pretty easy to use the fingerprint scanner. Volume buttons are really nice and clicky on this one, and they seem to stick out plenty there, so they're easy to locate. I also like it they do individual cutouts for the cameras and flash on the back. Only about 36 grams for the case itself, so fairly lightweight. Weighs in at 236 grams with the case on. You'll also notice there's some texture there on the sides. Definitely helps give it a little extra grip as well. Sort of a matte texture on the back. So overall, fairly good grip with this. Overall, nice thin case with fairly good grip by Spigen. Now the Scout case by UAG or Urban Armor Gear is definitely a little thicker than most TPU cases. Also has military grade drop protection. Fairly simple to snap the case onto the phone. It has pretty nice screen protection on all sides. It's got a little bit of play there on the sides, but overall fairly tight fit on here. Looks like the opening for the power button is just big enough. It seems to work okay. I feel like they could have made that material just a little bit thinner, but it does seem to work pretty much every time. Just feels like you have to push against the case pretty hard. I like how they have the volume buttons separated. They also stick out plenty and are pretty easy to use as well. This one's definitely one of the better ones as far as the opening for the charging port. Good size opening for the headphone jack as well. This one also has nice protection for the cameras on the back. The opening is fairly close to the cameras as well. The material overall is kind of a matte finish to it, smoother in the middle, and then a little rougher on the edges, so it definitely has pretty good grip. And then a pretty simple UAG down there towards the bottom. I definitely like the look of this case, and it sort of matches the blue color on the back. It is a little bit heavier at 48 grams for the case itself. Weighs in at 246 grams with the case on. Overall, just a nice case with pretty good grip by UAG. The Commuter Series Light case, it's a hybrid case where you've got a really soft silicone material on the inside, harder plastic shell on the back. Doesn't really flex much at all once you put them together. I feel like this one's a little trickier to get on because of that silicone material. It's actually probably easier if you just put the phone into the silicone and then just snap it into the hard plastic shell. But it's got really good screen protection, openings for the power button, so really easy to scan your fingerprint. And one of the better ones as far as how the volume button feels when you're using it. You barely have to push it, and it's got some nice clickiness to it. It's got a pretty large opening for the charging port and headphone jack as well. You can see it's got pretty good protection around the cameras. It's a pretty large opening though, so again, you might have to clean it a little more often to get the lint out and stuff like that. It also has a rougher texture here on the back that also goes around the edges, so fairly decent grip. I kind of wish they had more of the silicone material so it's even grippier, but still pretty good grip overall. Definitely a little bit heavier at 52 grams for the case itself. Weighs in at 251 grams with the case on. Overall, just a fairly nice and rugged, but still somewhat slim case by OtterBox. Now, if you want a case that's not going to cover up the back of your phone, the Spigen Ultra Hybrid case is a pretty nice option. It has a softer TPU material around the edges, and then a harder plastic there on the back. Fairly snug fit as well. Got nice screen protection all the way around. It's got a pretty nice opening for the fingerprint scanner. The little piece there by the screen, I kind of wish it was a little thinner, but still seems to work pretty good. And the volume buttons stick out just enough so you can find where they're located. They've got some nice clickiness to them as well. Definitely one of the best as far as the openings for the charging port and headphone jack as well. Really nice how they do the separate cutouts for the cameras on the back, so you're not gonna have to worry about getting stuff in there. Now, to me, the texture on the back is a little bit slippery. Also, you can see fingerprints pretty easily on here. Probably depends on which color your phone is, but I also feel like that's pretty common with clear cases like this. You've got a little bit of branding there on the side. Nice thing is they've got little things there on the corners to help the phone balance out so the phone doesn't rock back and forth. Only weighs in at 36 grams, so fairly lightweight. Weighs in at 234 grams with the case on. So overall, pretty nice clear case here if you don't want to cover up your phone. Now the Folu silicone case, the one shown here is called light cyan. To me it looks closer to green, maybe teal. It's got a soft microfiber lining on the inside. It's a fairly thin case, pretty flexible. I'm not sure if I would call this silicone. It's more like a thinner TPU material. It does appear to have fairly good grip though. Probably one of the easiest to put the case on the phone. It definitely has some extra play there on the sides. Not too bad though. It's probably got just enough screen protection on all sides. They actually did a really nice job on the fingerprint scanner. I think because the material is so thin right there, just makes it really easy to unlock the phone. The volume buttons stick out pretty far as well, so they don't take much effort to use. Has a nice and large opening for the charging port. Could be a little bit bigger on the headphone jack though. Also has pretty good protection for the cameras on the back. Definitely one of the lightest cases I've tested at only 29 grams. Weighs in at 226 grams with the case on. So if you're looking for one of the thinnest cases out there that also has decent grip and protection as well, I think this one's a pretty good option by Folu. Now the Tough Armor case by Spigen is a hybrid case with a softer TPU material on the inside, harder plastic shell there on the back. Almost has a soft touch material to it. It's pretty simple, just kind of work your way around the edges to get it to snap into place. This one's a really snug fit as well. Really no flex on the sides. Also has good screen protection on all sides. I don't know if you can get much better than the opening for the fingerprint scanner. They've got it so thin around the edges, you barely even notice that the case is there. The volume buttons don't really stick out or anything, but they do have some nice clickiness to them, and they don't really take much effort to use. Easily some of the largest openings for the charging port and headphone jack. I also like it they do individual cutouts for the cameras and flash on the back. You've also got a built-in metal kickstand here on the back as well. So you've got two different angles when in the stand position. I feel like the grip on here is pretty decent. You will see some fingerprints here on the back, so you will have to clean this every now and then. This one is a little bit heavier at 59 grams. Weighs in at 258 grams with the case on. Overall, just a nice, fairly rugged case from Spigen. I thought this case was pretty interesting. It's the RC1 WD Magnetic Case, where it's transparent on the back and then black around the edges. They've got several colors to choose from though. It also comes with a tempered glass screen protector. Normally you don't see MagSafe cases when the phone doesn't have wireless charging, but if you think about it, this is actually a pretty good idea. Then you can use MagSafe accessories like a phone mount in your car, or how they have the little wallets that snap right onto the back. Definitely one of the easier ones to put onto the phone. It's got a little flex there on the side, but not too bad. It's got nice screen protection all the way around. I feel like the opening for the fingerprint scanner could be a tad larger, but it does work pretty good on here. You just sort of feel the edge when unlocking it. It's pretty nice if you don't want to cover up the back of your phone. Just like most clear cases, you are going to get some fingerprints on here. Also has pretty good protection for the cameras on the back. Looks like it's plenty large enough for the charging port and headphone jack. The magnet on the back is fairly strong. Could be a little bit stronger in my opinion, but not bad overall. Only 33 grams for the case itself, so fairly lightweight. Weighs in at 231 grams with the case on. Overall, pretty nice if you don't want to cover up the back of your phone, and if you want to use MagSafe accessories. I really like this translucent slim fit case by Folu. It's got a softer TPU around the edges, kind of a frosted, somewhat see-through there on the back, harder plastic shell on the back, almost like a soft touch material on the back as well. Besides the TPU being softer, it also has little ridges that helps you grip the phone as well. Plenty of screen protection on all sides. It's got an extra large opening for the fingerprint scanner. Actually, probably one of the better ones in my opinion. The volume buttons stick out plenty as well. Pretty easy to use, has decent clickiness to them. Extra large opening for the charging port. Could be a little larger for the headphone jack, not bad though. It's got a nice lip going around the cameras on the back, so pretty good protection there. It's a pretty simple design overall. Fairly lightweight, only 33 grams for the case itself. Weighs in at 231 grams with the case on. I think if you want a thin case with a really good grip, this is easily one of the better ones out there by Folu.
So if you've made it this far into the video, you may want to say thanks by subscribing, and don't forget to give a thumbs up if this video was helpful. This is Brian from Fishbee Productions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.